So members, we have a little bit of shifting around in our agenda. We're going to have we're going to ask Representative Wayne Johnson to head to the front, if you're willing, sir. Have House File 4072 be up, and I'll ask Representative Johnson to he will move that bill. This is a bill of Representative Green's. Representative Johnson is the co-author, however. She has had a family emergency, and so grateful to you, Representative Johnson, for stepping in. In addition, building on this, the conversation we've been having, this bill was introduced as a direct appropriation, but Representative Johnson, if you're willing to move the A1 amendment to convert the bill to a competitive grant, I'd appreciate that.
Yes, I'd like to move that to, based on our, direction and basically our desire to move to competitive grants, I would like to move that.
Thank you so much. So, members, any discussion to the A1 amendment? And seeing all in favor of approval of the A1 amendment, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Thank you. And again, Representative Johnson, thank you so much for stepping in for Representative Green. I know you're on this bill as well, though, so really it's kind of the two of you are partners. So Representative Johnson, to your and Representative Green's bill.
Thank you, Chair Pinto. This is a great example of us working together and helping out when the need is there. So, Chair Pinto, Co-Chair Baker, and members, this is a bill to $500,000 in fiscal year 2027 is appropriated to the Workforce Development Fund to the Commissioner of Employment and Economic Development. This has come around, and I don't know if it's in your community, it's definitely in my community, how local newspapers are fading away. And they're either from people not having secession plans or somebody that can step in, or just other reasons, not being able to find employees and not being able to move forward. And it has drastically affected our community, and I think it's drastically affected many communities, because that is where community comes together, and even though we have internet and we have ways to get online, still opening up the paper and seeing what the community has. Just recently, a pioneer of our local paper at the time, Cottage Grove, just recently passed away. And I remember him, and he was talking about that paper, and he was talking about his legacy. It was that people would open up and see what was going on legally, who got in trouble with the police, who got, what community event is happening and stuff like that. So I remember it going all the way back to when I was a kid. That's how we got to see what's going on. So what this House File 4072 creates the local news talent pipeline program to place emerging and early career journalists and media professionals in Minnesota communities-based newsrooms in print, radio, and broadcasting and digital platforms. This proposal is built on a successful program administered by the Minnesota News Media Institute, which has placed nearly 1,000 Minnesota students in newsrooms of all sizes since 2005. It will provide a dual benefit, providing career learning opportunities for young Minnesotans, showing them what a future in local media could look like, and helping to strengthen and sustain our local news outlets, providing them with workforce assistance. This program will also help enhance opportunities for succession, keeping more local newspapers operating into the new generation. And that's one I touched on already. It's like we just have to have something there when somebody wants to finally walk away. So I do have, Ms. Chair Pinto, I do have two presenters here that I will let them take over.
Okay, whichever testifier is going to go first, please identify yourself and proceed with your testimony, and welcome to you.
Thank you. Members of the committee, thank you for allowing me to speak on this important bill. I'm Tara Brandel. I am the co-owner and publisher of Above the Fold Publishing in Southwest Minnesota. As a rural Minnesota publisher, I originally co-owned one local community newspaper, and we recently purchased 3 more local newspapers. All of our newspapers are small weekly newspapers that have deep ties to their community. What makes a community newspaper so important is their role in connecting the community and telling the community's story. We run our newspaper with the agenda that everyone has a story. It is our job to tell it. Whether it is reporting on the city council meeting, covering the basketball game, highlighting a local nonprofit, or telling the unique story of a community member, this is what makes community journalism. One of the hardest parts of owning a local newspaper in rural Minnesota is finding staff to cover everything. Usually there is more happening in our community than we can make it to cover. One way we have overcome this challenge is through an intern. 3 years ago, we hired a summer intern with the help of the Minnesota Newspaper Institute's internship program. This was one of the greatest blessings in the growth of our business. Our intern, Sophie, spent the summer helping us cover events and building relationships with our readers. Working with her has made such a difference that we hired her to continue to work with us during her final year of high school and for the summer before college. After graduation, she chose to attend college in the Czech Republic, but she came back and worked for us that summer, and then most recently worked for us for 3 weeks when she was home on Christmas break. Hiring Sophie through this internship program allowed us to bring more stories to our readers when finding staff is so difficult. The biggest aspect of this was the ability to get someone younger into our business and industry. Funding for positions like this in all media throughout Minnesota, especially Greater Minnesota, helps strengthen the future of journalism in all forms. Local journalism is vital for the success of our state on so many levels, and this bill provides a great step in bringing in the next generation of journalists. As a local publisher, I hope that you can see the value it brings to all of your districts and that you move forward in supporting this initiative. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Thanks for your work. And to the other testifier, please identify yourself and proceed.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair Pinto and members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today. My name is Wendy Paulson. As president of the Minnesota Broadcasters Association, I represent 300 local radio and television member stations, as well as stakeholders in the broadcast industry. Minnesota's local newsrooms are committed to serving their communities with trusted, reliable information, accessible free of charge. But like many industries, we face a growing workforce challenge across Minnesota. Broadcast stations are struggling to recruit the next generation of journalists. Students may not be aware of the many different careers that broadcast journalism has to offer. For our members, finding the time and budget to get the word out is a constant challenge. The Local News Talent Pipeline Act is a smart investment in Minnesota's future journalists. It helps create paid internship opportunities and clear career pathways into local newsrooms. We are grateful for Representative Green's leadership on this bill, as well as thanking our Representative Johnson for your co-sponsorship. We are also very proud to support this. This program would allow stations across our state to participate, fund paid internships, ensure students from all backgrounds can explore and pursue careers in journalism, and it helps to create a strong pipeline of trained professionals who are ready to step into local newsrooms statewide. Investing in the journalism workforce helps ensure Minnesotans continue to have access to trusted local news and information. Strong local journalism strengthens Minnesota communities. Local reporters cover school boards, city council meetings, elections, local sports, and community issues that directly affect residents. Investing in the next generation of journalists is an investment in informed communities across Minnesota. We respectfully ask for your support of House File 4072, and thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you for being here, and thanks to you for your work as well. Anybody else who's in the room here wish to testify on the bill? Not seeing any, we'll close testimony. So members of the committee, comments, questions, anybody else? Representative Lesnikar, we'll go to you. And
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Representative, for presenting this bill. I think this is a wonderful idea. I think it's really important. I know in the community I represent, Proctor High School has a fantastic Rails TV broadcasting where students are, broadcasting sports and many other different things. But it goes into local journalism for the papers locally to show the heart of the community, which I think is really, really important. It also exposes them to radio and to television and all the aspects of journalism and broadcasting. And so I think this is a fantastic idea. We do things like this in other career technical education. with culinary programs and various other things. So I'm happy to see this get added in the wheelhouse. So thank you for the bill. I think it'll be great for the communities. Thank you to the city of Proctor for, in my community, doing a resolution. It's really important to the communities to have the local flavor of journalism. So thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Chair Baker, to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and again, thank you, Rep. Johnson, for bringing this forward to us. I know that you have worked on this. You've worked bipartisanly on a number of bills this is your first session, and you've done a nice job. And this is one of those areas that I've just impressed with your digging in and doing the right things. This is a bill that I can support. Now, maybe my question to you now would be, is this scalable? If we didn't have this much money, can it work with a little less? Because this is a challenging budget year, and we don't have anything yet. I'm just maybe asking either you or your testifiers, will this work if it was not the same amount of what your request is?
Representative Johnson or to one of the testifiers. Yeah, Ms. Oh, okay, if you can please identify yourself
I'm sorry,
and then proceed.
Chair and committee members, I'm Lisa Hills. I'm the Executive Director of the Minnesota Newspaper Association and Minnesota News Media Institute.
And to the
please,
question,
yeah,
yes.
Chair Baker.
Yeah, just repeating the question, just like the bill a lot, if we didn't quite have this much, is there something you can use if it was half that amount or 300,000 versus the 500 you're requesting? Is that possible with this program?
And if you can say your name again, pardon me, Lisa
Lisa Hills,
Hills. Okay, Ms. Hills.
yes. Thank you, and Chair, Representative. We would be grateful for any amount of funding. There is a huge need, and any amount of funding would make a difference, and so we would appreciate any consideration.
I'd have to believe it is scalable, but Chair Baker, back to you.
I would think it is, yeah. And thanks again. We don't really know what that it looks like yet, but again, I just, that was one question I really had for the bill. My daughter started with it as an intern with West Central Tribune back in Wilmer. Now, again, she went into mass communications. She's an executive producer now and does very, very well. She loves her hometown stuff. She loves what we do there, and I know this is important to get interns in the door that way. So again, to Representative Johnson's work this session and on bills like this, I'm glad you were able to, pinch hit today for Representative Green that was not able to be here today. So just thank you for that, and I appreciate your work on these things, and thanks for bringing it to my attention as well. So good work on this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Baker. Yeah, we'll go to Representative Hussein.
Thank you for testifies for bringing Representative Johnson for carrying this bill on behalf of our colleagues. I do see a lot a lot of young generation who graduated and still looking for opportunity to internship with pay. So this is a great opportunity that this is a great bill, and I'm excited to co-author and support.
Chair Frazier, to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Representative Johnson, thank you for pinch hitting for Representative Green. Let me say this. I like this because I used to serve on a board that specifically focused on getting young people and community members into the area of media, journalism, television as well. And I look at how our media has been consolidated today and how there's only so many options.
Right.
There's only so many networks, and they really get to shape the narrative. And we lose that very local perspective that is very much important and needed for people to know what's happening in their community. And just giving an opportunity for people to have an opportunity to raise up in these type of jobs and these type of careers. I think that's very important. So thank you for working in a bipartisan way to get this done. It means a tremendous amount to our young people that are looking to get into this career area. It also means a tremendous amount to society in terms of having that local focus on what's happening in your community, and not just in our communities, in our states, but around this country. So I appreciate the work you've done on this.
Yeah, Chair Frazier, yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I was thinking to myself that it's as there's been, sometimes, we have this lack of shared facts and shared truth sometimes in our society. It's the local, when that local news and the person who lives down the street from you who's reporting on what's happening in your community, there's a real power, and I think we're all recognizing that. So this is terrific. I want to build on Chair Baker's point about the scalability, and just as I'm looking at this, I'm thinking there may be some ways that you might want to structure the competitive grant program in different ways. We can talk about that. Right now this is set up that the commissioner would do individual grants for internships. You could imagine a situation where there's an organization, and perhaps it's Minnesota News Media Institute, but we want to, again, open up to whomever, which could receive a grant, and then may at that point maybe would provide those paid internships directly. And we can have a conversation about that. But I think that there are ways to structure this, especially if there is some scalability needed. So perhaps we can follow up with one another if the opportunity arises. So I'm not seeing any other questions. Representative Johnson to your and Representative Green's bill.
Thank you, Chair Pinto. And I'd also like to recognize again, Representative Green has been a great partner in this bill and her work on this. She has also recognized how important how local media is. And if you ever watch when people when you go to a national and they try to come in and cover local, they try to pronounce the town that they're in. And so you can tell right away that they're not from the area. And so it shows how important, it is very important that you have community connections, whether it's broadcast, newspaper, whatever way, that there's somebody that knows the community that they're in. And if somebody grew up in the community, then sees an opportunity to go back to their community after they're done with school to cover the community that they've known since they were a kid. That's where you really build trust, and that's where the real connections happen. So thank you for bringing this, for hearing this bill today, and I look forward for your support. So thank you.
Representative Johnson, thank you so much. Thanks to you testifiers and for your work. It really is so important. So we're grateful to you. With that, the chair lays over House File 4072 as amended for possible inclusion in a budget bill. We'll sort of see where all that lands.